welcome to another video on my channel. My name is Victor. Thank you for joining me and allowing me to give you some of my knowledge and share with you some of my stories. So today I want to get into the power of words. We know that words are very powerful and they basically cast spells. That's why when you write words, they're called spelling, right? How do they cast spells? Basically, they create our lives depending on what you say. And I'll give you examples later on of how we say things and we see them. Those things that we said actually manifest, right? So I'll give you examples of that later on. Right now, I want to get into the basics of that. And I'm not going to drag you in and tell you all these long stories and tell you whatever, right? I'm just going to keep it real and tell you what it is so you get the point, and hopefully this will help at least one person to help make changes in their lives. I might read from my script a little bit, right? Just as a reminder, because I don't have all the information in my mind like that. But yeah, here we go, right? Let's get into it. So, have you ever stopped to think about the power of words? The words we speak, the words we hear, and the words we think all have an incredible impact on our lives. They shape our reality, they build our beliefs, and they create the world around us. Now that's deep. When you think about those three things, you say to yourself, what on earth is he talking about? Well, it's real, right? And like I told you, I will give you later on more on examples, more on that, on the details of how that works. So let's explore a little bit about words, right? Why are they called spelling? Because when we speak, we literally cast a spell, manifesting our reality through the vibration and the energy of language. So hear that out, right? The energy of language, meaning that what we speak has energy. Okay. So exploring that a little further, our words are more than just a sound. They are energy. They are creative forces, and they hold the power to shape our destiny. So I'll go into an example right now. If you hear someone speaking a foreign language around you, what happens is you focus automatically on what they're saying. You listen to the language, you look at their body, at the body language, right? But they got your focus, they got your attention. And just because it's a language that you don't speak. So what does that say? That says that words are powerful, because whatever you were doing, whether it was in a store, whether it was in a market, wherever it was that incident occurred, where you was actually brought to attention by this person who spoke a foreign language, it just shows that their power, right? The power of their words, how they just captured your attention without any intention. They didn't intend to talk to you. They didn't even really care about who you are or why you're there. They're there for their purpose, right? But hearing it brought you to pay attention, brought you to focus on them. So that's what I mean by energy and how powerful the words are. Think about the phrase casting a spell. What is casting a spell? It's an intention spoken into existence. And every time you speak, you're doing the same thing. You're shaping your reality with the power of language. Our ancestors, they understood this very well. Ancient cultures knew that words had frequencies that could heal or harm, uplift or destroy. This isn't just spiritual talk. Science backed this up too. So think about that. You can have a friend or a family that is not feeling so well. They probably had some bad news or they had some loss. And you know that you talking to them and saying certain things is going to have an effect on them to make them feel a little better, right? At least you feel you're giving them some comforting words. Listen to that. Comforting words, right? What are those? How do words become comforting? They become comforting because they have an effect, right? Whatever you say affects the way that person feels, therefore bringing them a better feeling, bringing them comfort. That's where it comes from, right? So think about that. Again, you're sending energy verbally in language to another person that is not in the same room with you, and yet you're having an effect on them. That's the power of words, right? And now to think a little further, let's go a little further into that, right? Studies in linguistics and neuroscience show that words we use influence our emotions, actions, and even structure our brains. The more we say, the more our minds accept it as truth. Let's go into that. I'm going to give you an example of that. They talk about fake news, right? If you watch news and you watch TV, these people tell you a story. And if you listen to the story long enough, you tend to start to believe the story, right? I'm not going to pick on any specifics of news stories that are just being told to you that are not 100% truth. And some of them are not even truth at all. They just want to persuade you. You know, they just want to get you on their agenda. They want you to believe what they want you to believe, right? So think about that for a moment. It's just like medications. You turn on the news, you turn on TV, and they start giving you all this commercials with medications, right? Telling you that they're good for this and good for that. And people right away buy into that. And most of the time, people are not listening to the side effects of that medication, right? Because they bought into the beginning of what the medication is for, that they disregard the side effects. And that's just another example, right? But they'll tell you things that are not 100% happening. They make up stories to get you on their agenda, to get you to believe what they want you to believe, right? They even lie to you to get you to believe something that is not true. So that's where we go into the power of words again. These media companies, these brands, they're basically selling you a story. They're getting you to believe in what they say, right? You don't go and research what they said on the news because you just consumed it, right? And I'm not going to get into consuming because according to this government, and you could look it up, we're consumers, right? Everybody's a consumer. So what they do is they sell us stuff so that we keep consuming. Because money is made from consumers, right? But I'll leave that for another video. I'm not going to get into that right now. We're going to stay on the power of words and how they affect your life, right? So you ever notice how powerful words shape your reality? When you say, I'm strong, you start to feel strong. When you constantly say, I can do this, suddenly the task feels possible. When you say, I can't do this, the task becomes impossible. When you say, I feel sick, you actually start to feel sick. I know you've seen people that say, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to go out. I don't want to do anything. I just want to stay home. I'm tired. And when you look at these people, they actually start to look tired. When you see them, you're like, you know something? You look tired. You should get some rest. Right? These are the comforting words that you're giving that person because they have created a reality for themselves that is basically they're tired all the time. With the same thing applies with people saying they're sick, right? This is the law of manifestation. Words plant seeds in our subconscious mind. The more you water them, the more they grow into your reality. This is why affirmations work, why prayers work, why words, when spoken with intent, create change. So I have videos that you can look at about that I do affirmations. Because affirmations are words that you're consuming that are saying positive things to you to get you to believe in yourself so that you create a better version of yourself. And about the versions of yourself, there's only one. You're unique. I can't be you and you can't be me. So stay focused on being you and being the best version of you. Don't try to be like any celebrity. Don't try to be like any athlete. Just be you. Be the best that you can be. Because if you try to be like a celebrity or some sports person or anyone else, right? Or like someone on YouTube, right? What happens is you're wasting your energy. Use that energy for you. Don't go down that rabbit hole of trying to be somebody else, because you will get lost there. And you will lose yourself because all your focus is on trying to be someone else. And you cannot ever be someone else. You can only be you. So work on being the best version of yourself. Use that energy on you, and that's a great thing to do because you'll see the benefits. It's an investment in yourself. Invest in yourself. You're totally worth it. So words have energy, right? They can heal and they can destroy. When someone tells you you are enough, you feel empowered. When someone says you'll never make it, doubt starts to creep in, right? So think about that for a moment, right? When someone tells you, yeah, you're good at that, you're the best, you can make it, I have no doubts about it. You're a strong person, you're intelligent. These are comforting words, they're powerful words that get us to really believe in ourselves, right? Yet, if you grow up with someone telling you, oh, you're not going to be anything. You're just going to be like this or like that. You're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to add up too much. You're not going to amount to anything. Those are negative words that people are casting on you. And if you buy into those words, you consume those words, then guess what? You will start to believe them and you will start to think that you're not good enough, that you're not going to amount to anything. But let me tell you, that's bullshit. Straight up, that's bullshit. What someone says about you doesn't mean anything. What people's opinion are about you don't mean anything. The only thing that matters is your own opinion, what you think of yourself. It's when I used to teach yoga, I used to tell people, mostly women, right? Because I learned that women go to the mirror in the morning, they do makeup, they do whatever they do to prep themselves for the day, and they don't look at themselves. Like literally look into their eyes. They don't do that. So I started telling them, I want you to do for the next 30 days a challenge, which is to go in the mirror every morning, look in your eyes, and say to yourself, you're beautiful. And you could take this challenge yourself. Why not? You have nothing to lose. You go to the mirror every morning, right? So go and say to yourself, you're beautiful. Watch what happens in 30 days. You actually start to believe it because you're doing repetition. Anything that you repeat for 20 days, 21 days, becomes a habit. And you start to believe it. So give it a chance. Give it a try. Take the risk. It's an investment in yourself. I'm not asking you to, go spend $1,000. I'm not asking you to buy any of my products, right? I'm just telling you to give yourself a chance. Go and try it. You got nothing to lose. So let's talk about how you can use these words to change your lives. When you speak, speak intentionally. Choose words that empower and uplift. Again, going to the mirror and saying you're beautiful, that's uplifting. That's empowering, right? Use affirmations daily. Words like I'm worthy, I am abundant, I am healthy. You start reprogramming your subconscious by doing that. You got to say this stuff, especially in the world we live in today, where there's so much negativity, there's so much propaganda, there's so many lies. Yes, you need to do affirmations for yourself. And you got to take care of your health. Health is another subject that I'll bring up in another video later on. And again, if you're getting something out of this video and you're liking what I'm saying, just hit the like button. I'm not even asking you to subscribe. Just hit the like button. And write in the comment what your thoughts are, what did you get out of this video, and ask me anything. I'll tell you about myself. You can check in my other videos. I've been a counselor, therapist for 25 years. A yoga instructor, a student of yoga for 25 years as well. So I teach yoga, I teach meditation, and all this stuff that I teach, I practice on myself. I meditate every day. Meditation's fantastic. You need to do that and add that to your life. That's another investment in your life, in yourself. Speak as if you want has already happened. Speak as whatever you want has already happened. Instead of saying, I wish I was happy, say, I'm grateful for the happiness in my life. You get it? You're changing the wording as if it's happening, not as if it's going to happen. I'm going to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. No, I'm already rich. I am a rich person. I am wealthy. That's what you say. Solid affirmations. Positive words. Every word you speak is a spell you cast into the universe. Make them count because they are your life, not anyone else's life. Words have power. They always have. They always will. The question is, what kind of spells are you casting in your life? Are they spells of success, of love, or abundance? Or are they spells of doubt, fear, and limitations? So let me tell you, right? It's very easy to be negative. We've been programmed, conditioned to hear and consume a lot of negative stuff. The news. Well, let's go back to the news. And I'm not personally attacking any news station or whatever, but I'm just saying in general, right? You watch the news, it's all bad news. At the very end nowadays, they're starting to put good news, and they say something like, oh, here's a piece of good news, or here's something good that happened. But before that, the whole 95 or 99% of what they've been presenting is bad news, right? So we've been conditioned to take in, to consume negativity. So it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm not good, I suck at that, I can't do this, I can't do that. No, I'm not good at that, you know. It's easy to be. It's easy to go down that route. It's easy to make excuses. It's easy to be doubtful. It's easy to set limitations on yourself. But it's not easy to face yourself. When I was teaching yoga, one of the hardest things for people to come to class is two things. One is actually to get themselves to the class, right? To commute, to whatever, travel, whatever you want to call it, to get to the studio, to the class. The other thing is that yoga makes you look at yourself, at your true self. And a lot of people are not ready to deal with their true self. That's why we have so many medications to treat this, depression, anxiety. Dogs are being treated for depression and anxiety and being medicated. That right there baffles me. I'm not going to get into that. I just want you to think about how we've been conditioned to jump on the easy bandwagon of negativity. But how hard it is for us to change that conditioning and look for the positive and speak positive of ourselves. So I want you to practice the 30-day challenge of the mirror, especially if you're a female and you're watching this. Please go do 30 days of the mirror challenge saying you're beautiful. If you're a man, go and do it too and say you're beautiful. There's nothing wrong with saying to a man that a man is beautiful. We are all beautiful beings. We're just here having a human experience. We're spiritual beings. We're all connected. We're all one. There's no this color, this language, that language. No, there's none of that. We are all human beings living on the planet Earth. So stop buying into the propaganda of difference. There is no difference. We're all the same. Okay? And I'm going to let you think about that. I'm going to let that simmer, and hopefully one of yous out there enjoy this, got something positive out of it that's going to help you in your life. And stay tuned for the next video. And write down in the comments, what do you want me to continue talking about? Pick anything you want that I could be of help to you. By all means, let me know. Write it in the comments. See you on the next one. And in the description, check my website, because I do create motivational stuff. T-shirts, hoodies. I've even done bathing suits. And for the ladies, I think you'll like them. Van Gogh bathing suit. And that's it. I'm not going to talk about that so much. But go there and support me in that way, and I'll see you in the next video.